Hey y'all, it's Jacob again, coming to you from the bus. This is the only quiet space I have in my life right now with three little ones. So I wanted to talk to you about ascension and what ascension is. We obviously know, if we've studied our Bible, that Jesus ascended, that he died on the cross, that he awakened after he died, and then he ascended in his body into heaven. And if you know anything about Jesus, then you know that nothing was literal. Jesus's life was very metaphorical, and the way that he taught things was very metaphorical, and he said that. He came out and said that. And so let's talk about ascension. What's ascension? Ascension is something we are all going to do. Ascension is not the human form. It's not what we would call the third dimensional self, or what some spiritual teachers or Reiki practitioners would call second heaven, which is just basically viewing everything on such a one-dimensional level, that you are nothing but your body, that you're nothing but this identity, this name you've been given. That's not the part of you that's going to ascend. And the metaphorical way that Jesus ascended was that he died on the cross. Now, some of you are going to really have a rough time with this, because I did when I woke up, and it was fast, and it was hard when I woke up, and it was painful because I looked around at my whole world and realized that it was literally all an illusion. And this is the illusion world. This is the Maya. And that's why the Mayans had a calendar. And this calendar was to signify when the illusion world would stop. And that was, as most people know, December 21st of 2012, which in the Gregorian calendar actually would have been December 21st, 2020, because the years were a little different. So just think about that one. How was 2020? 2020 thrust us into 4D, or fourth dimension, and we have been trapped in the third dimension for so long. What does that mean? We look with our eyes and we see this reality in front of us, but that is only a state of our consciousness. That is what we see. So as you ascend, and again, 2020 thrust us right into 4D, which raised us up a level. We had lockdowns. We couldn't go to our jobs. We couldn't see our friends and our family. And while I still agree that that was very much fabricated, God has a plan. God being love, again, because God is all love. And so here we are in 2022, and things are getting even harder. We're hearing about new plagues that may come in. Funny how somebody might know that they're, to expect new plagues. Also, we have war. Everybody is talking about global warming and all this junk. And I'm sorry, I don't believe in global warming. I think it's a crock of crap. I believe in climate change, because as the poles are shifting on the earth, we are going to have climate change everywhere. And it's happened multiple times since the earth existed. So it's okay. Do I think that we should recycle? Yes. Do I think that we should reuse? Yes. Jesus thought so too. And a lot of our ascended masters did, like, Krishna and Buddha, You name them, Muhammad. I mean, they all believed in love. Their religion was love. Their belief was love. Christ was not a Christian. Buddha was not a Buddhist. It's just not the way it was. Anyway, as you ascend, you will have to let go. Ascension is about letting go of what you see here. Because if you don't, it's going to be so scary for you. And fear blocks heaven. And heaven is 5D, the fifth dimension. Heaven is not a place you go to when you die physically. And that's not to take away from people that we love, our loved ones whom we have lost. In this consciousness. Their body is gone, yes, but the consciousness, the soul, the spirit lives forever. And those people that we perceived in our reality, in the 3D with our eyes, are still going to ascend. They are just not ascending in their body. Now, again, you're probably still asking, okay, but what is ascension really? Am I going to float up into the clouds? No, you're not. That was also metaphorical of Jesus to just float off into the clouds. And when he died on the cross, his ego died. And he had to be raised up on a cross. And mind you, when you're ascending, you have to be just high enough in your vibration, but just grounded enough. You have to be in perfect balance. So Jesus was on the cross, nailed to it. Okay, I want you to think about a car or a generator or something like that where you have to have a perfect ground. You can have a perfect running engine. It can be brand new. It could be rebuilt. It doesn't matter. But if you don't have a ground, a proper ground, it's not going to do a damn thing. It's just going to be a sitting paperweight. So, and I know that from experience. But I also know that in my spiritual experience. So at this time, as the universe is expanding, and it is always expanding, and as it's expanding, being that we're this spinning ball in the middle of the universe, our consciousness is expanding with the universe, because the Earth and our solar system is just being thrust into areas that it's never been, because it never was. So the Old Testament, the New Testament, just say goodbye. Okay? This is the now. This is the new. And heaven is a place on earth. And it will be. And it can be. But first, it is a state of mind. And you have to work to get there. It's hard. It's so hard letting go. And so many people are losing their lives because of the changes that COVID brought us, because of the changes that this world is bringing, and because of the energies that are coming in because of the expansion of the universe that we're reaching. So our bodies are just being filled with it, and our mind is being filled with it, and it's so overwhelming. So as you ascend, which means that you are raising your vibration. Your consciousness is clearing. It's rising. It's becoming more expanded and more open, like a cup, like a chalice, okay? If you ever look at the painting of the Last Supper, There is no chalice on the table. There is no holy grail. Not with these eyes, but if you look at it closely, there is an empty space between Christ and Mary. Now, some would say that's a womb, it's a bloodline, whatever. Maybe that's true. Maybe there's a bloodline, but we need to go deeper. We need to go beyond the third dimensional sight with our eyes. And we need to look closer. And if you look closer at that painting, that space in between them, at the base of the space, Jesus is doing this motion. Now, what does a conductor do when they're playing music? Let's think about vibration. Let's think about frequency. Let's think about how the original scripture was take up your staff and follow me, not take up your cross and follow me. So when Jesus's ego, remember, he was very metaphorical and so was his life. When his ego dies, his frequency is raised. And he's just high enough up on that cross. But back then, those crosses went about 3 feet into the ground. Okay, so he's on a tree. Let's not forget this. He's on a tree. He's grounded to the tree with nails. Okay? And that tree is rooted 3 feet into the ground. This man, his frequency is so high. It's like he's just floating off. And he has to be grounded in order to stay here. The blood, the crown of thorns. I want you to think about COVID. I want you to think about that little virusy, spiky looking ball, the virus that went around, that we still see on everything. Crown virus, little spiky ball. Let's talk about the crown of thorns, okay? Everything is metaphorical. And you can only see clearly with this eye. Because Jesus said, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light. And I want you to remember that verse as we enter into these food shortages. That you will be filled with light. I want you to think sea creatures. I want you to think photosynthesis. I want you to remember that Jesus, before he fed 5,000, remember metaphorical, he fed 5,000. Before he fed them, it says that there was a hill and there was a lot of grass there. And he told the disciples to tell the people to sit down. Those are the details that we're missing. The next time you read your Bible, I want you to look for the nature aspect. I want you to look deeper. I want you to start letting the words affect your frequency. Read the frequency of the words. But stop reading them from a fear-based, ego-based level. Because in order to ascend, you're going to have to think differently. And Jesus spoke about that too, metaphorically. After he died, after he rose, which is awakened, which is the awakening, which is what we're going through right now, he ascended to his Father in his body. And when he came back and he appeared to his disciples, he said, while they were fishing, they couldn't catch anything all day. Not a thing. And they didn't even realize it was Jesus who was talking to them from the shore. But he said, if you cast your net out on the right side of the boat, you will catch them. That's metaphorical for be right-brained. Think on the right side. Stop doing the same things over and over and over and over and expecting different results. And right now, with everything that's going on this planet, we are forced to think differently, to do differently. We have to. We do not have a choice. And if you don't learn to adapt and you don't learn to let go of the job, let go of the bad relationship, let go of the car, let go of your stuff, let go of the house that you lived in if you don't learn to let go and trust the universe, you're going to get left behind. And that's the reality of it. And I'm not picking on anyone because it's hard. We're moving 2,500 miles away. And we're doing it like in a month and a half time. The last time I made a move like that was the same distance, but it took a year of planning. And it was hard then. And now we're just chucking things, chucking things out the window. We're metaphorically, we are taking it to Goodwill. We're selling it for cheap. We're letting it go. We're just letting it go because it's weighing us down. Because we can't go to the next level in consciousness unless we let go. And Jesus mentioned that too. He said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Heaven is 5D. Heaven is new earth. New earth. What you always hoped and dreamed it would be. We're here. This is unprecedented. We're here. And we are so lucky to be alive to witness this. So don't give up, but learn to let go. I promise you it will be so beneficial. Remember, Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. That means it's not impossible. Okay? A camel takes what he can carry on his back. A camel carries water in his hump. Drink a lot of water. Carry only the burdens that you need. Physically, mentally, spiritually, energetically. And you will have an easier time. By the way, the eye of a needle, if you look at it, shaped like this, and the little eyes right here, like your third eye. And I'll remind you that needles were pretty big back then. In fact, they're about the size of your pineal gland, which is your third eye. That's what he was talking about. Anybody could call me kooky who's reading the Bible with these eyes. But when you see it with this eye, it's going to make a whole lot of sense. And I'm only sharing this because when you are a Christian and you have an awakening, and God, I hope it's milder on other people. And I have heard many stories where it's much milder, much easier going than it was for me. For me, it was literally, I was stuck in 3D. I was stuck in all that was going on in my life and the hell that I felt I was feeling, and just pop. It just opened. And I felt like I was in hell at first. And everything scared me because it was all new. That's the Christ consciousness. When your pineal gland opens, that's your Christ consciousness. And Jesus said, I make all things new. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean it's pretty. You have to go through those dark places in the world and those dark places within yourself and heal those things. And I'm healing. I'm not standing here telling you I'm all through, I'm all healed. No way, man. We're only going into 5D. You know how many dimensions there are? A lot. And a lot of the wisdom that I take is in meditation and time with myself, which I rarely get. And I receive that knowledge from ninth dimensional beings. And I'm not privileged. I wouldn't say that. Some people might go, oh, you just think that you're so special. No. We're all special. We all do this eventually. We can all do this. And it's not easy. And it's a lot of weight. And it's sometimes feels like a burden. But I'll tell you when the burden's lifted off. It's when I talk to you. So when you're listening to me, you're literally lifting weight off of my shoulders. And sometimes I really feel like that camel. And I'm just looking for somebody to just lift it off. And the universe will bother me. It'll find ways, synchronicities every day to say, it's time for you to talk now. Freedom of speech? Where'd that go? It looks like we're losing it. It's here. And you can't open this chakra unless you start at your root. Jesus told the people to put their root chakra on the ground, to ground yourself, to sit down on the earth. How did he feed 5,000? They were on the ground in the sun. The sun, S-U-N, and in the presence of the sun, S-O-N. Earthing, ecotherapy. They spread around 5 loaves of barley loaves and 2 fish. And 5,000 people had all they wanted. Not all they needed. They had all they wanted. They didn't need it. Because God, which is love, which is you, which is me, which is everything, the love and everything, will provide. So no matter what they throw at you to make you scared, don't let it. Because fear is just false evidence appearing real. And this, again, this is the illusion. This is the Maya. And it's all going away. So all you have to do is just hold tight here to your heart and let go of everything else. And love. That's it. It's so simple. I had to use so many words to express my frequency. But it's so simple. Love yourself. Because Jesus said that you must love yourself in order to love one another. Just as He loved us. He is the Christ consciousness. It is when we wake up, we realize how much love we have for ourselves. How much we must have for ourselves. And how much we have had for ourselves. And if we really see that, then it will make sense so many of the decisions that we've made in our lives. That it was for love. Love of something, love of someone, love of self. Love. None of us are where we are right now in our lives if it did not happen because of everything we've ever done. Because we are all connected. If it wasn't for everything that every single human being has ever done before us. So don't be scared. And try not to be so confused. We make everything so complex. And it's really so simple. I hope this message finds you well. I hope that it was valuable to you. If it was, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it with someone else and like it. Because no one's going to see it if you don't react to it. It's sadly the way that our world is. It's like a social credit score. But I'm here for you. And I love you as always. Okay? Namaste.